addressing inequities and empowering voices. Chairman Alex Ndodi Enebele, FSM, President, Institute of Strategic Management of Nigeria, Chartered. Keynote speaker, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, Professor of Media and Broadcasting Communication. Panelist, Professor Chris Ochonogo, Immediate Past Head of Department, Journalism and Media Studies, University of Port Harcourt. Dr. Ijoma Tobosia, Secretary, NUJ, River State. Dr. Sarah Joe, University Orator and Associate Dean, Faculty of Communication and Media, River State University, Port Harcourt. Dr. Ibiere Koki, Ignatius Aju University of Education, Rumolomini, Port Harcourt. Chief Host, Dr. Chinyere Igwe, Esquire, Chairman, Morrison Group. Date, Tuesday, 10th March 2026. Venue, Gate Place Hotel, Kilometer 5, East West Road, adjacent Obirikwere Flyover, Rumosi, Port Harcourt. Time, 10 a.m. For more information, please call Kainde Paul Obofadi, 081-063-41777 or Samuel Ajinwo at 090-454-00744. Signed, Management.
This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the highlight. UK Deputy High Commissioner commends Diri on good governance. Senate plans to create state police before December. Acting IG orders security around worship centers and public spaces. And NPC plans to attract investors for AKK gas pipeline. Pope Leo XIV seeks dialogue over Middle East conflict. Osimhen rejects Galatasaray's captain's armband. Gospel musicians mourn death of twins. British Deputy High Commissioner in Abuja, Mrs. Gil Lever, has commended Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri for what she described as strong leadership in youth protection, good governance and community resilience, following the conclusion of a 3-day walking visit to the state. Speaking at the end of the visit, Lever said the UK-funded Serious and Organized Crime Prevent program, known locally as the Brighter Futures program, had made a lasting impact in the state. A statement issued by the Senior Press and Public Affairs British High Commission, Madu, said the visit formed part of the UK-funded Serious and Organized Crime Prevent program, which supports at-risk young people with skills development, mentoring and resilience building initiatives to prevent recruitment into criminal networks. The program, which reportedly achieved an 80% successful diversion rate, is expected to conclude its current phase in March 2026, with full ownership transition into the Bayelsa State government. And during the visit, Lever met with Governor Doye Diri to review progress made under the program and formally acknowledged him as a Prevent ambassador in recognition of what the UK described as his sustained commitment to youth protection. The Deputy High Commissioner also held talks with the First Lady of Bayelsa State, Gloria Diri, on women's political empowerment, leadership development and expanded support for women and girls. And as part of her engagement, Lever met with civil society organizations, including the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, Bayelsa Non-Governmental Organizations Forum, Nigeria Union of Journalists, Civil Liberties Organization, Fringe Voices, and the International Federation of Women Lawyers, and the groups shared insights on governance, civic participation, youth vulnerability, and security trends in the states. Abia State's government has unveiled a structured framework aimed at strengthening corporate social responsibility and deepening collaboration between public institutions and private sector stakeholders to accelerate sustainable development. The initiative was driven by the Abia State corporate social responsibility initiative led by the team lead, John Nwa Diogoha, who said the CSR team operates under the Abia State Policy Innovation Center, an institution established by the state government and headed by Reverend Father Arno Kuru to promote innovative governance models and integrate global best practices into the development strategies. He described corporate social responsibility as a globally recognized concept that encourages companies to move beyond profit-making to actively contribute to social and economic development, stressing that the Abia model seeks to localize the global CSR practice by ensuring that companies operating in the state become active partners in community growth and development. He also said the framework allows communities to initiate development proposals capable of attracting corporate intervention, thereby promoting grassroots-driven projects, and it is a structural annual engagement process requiring companies operating in the state to appear before the CSR platform each year to present their budgets. While the CSR plans and proposed community development projects, Nwadio Goga further said the mechanism would promote transparency, accountability, and proper alignment between corporate spending and community needs, adding that the CSR team contributes advisory input during planning and budgeting cycles to ensure that corporate interventions are integrated into broader government development frameworks. Abia State Governor Alex Oti has urged members of his cabinet to perform their duties with diligence and unwavering commitment to the new Abia agenda. Oti delivered the charge while declaring open the two-day first quarter retreat organized by the Abia State government for all political appointees in Umuahia. And the retreat was themed Accelerating Progress, Unlocking New Opportunities, which acknowledged that lives have improved and that citizens have witnessed significant socio-economic advancements under his administration. He stressed on the need for continued focus and attentiveness to the political developments within the state and highlighted the scale of the administration's plans as well as investments exceeding 1 trillion naira across education, healthcare, and other critical sectors. He also underscored the importance of active participation in the retreat, describing it as a platform for constructive engagement rather than personal disagreement, and further urged all appointees to see themselves as part of a team for achievement. Earlier, the Secretary to the State Government, Emmanuel Mary Biole, said the retreat comes at a critical moment for collective rebuilding and repositioning Abia for sustainable growth, as well as opportunity for strategic alignment, performance evaluation, and strengthening teamwork across ministries, departments, and agencies. Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwifuru has approved the indefinite suspension of the Commissioner for Works, Stanley Mbam, and the Commissioner for Infrastructure, Concession for Development, Ogbonnaya Abara, over allegations of direct dereliction of duty. A statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Monday Uzo, said the Governor directed the affected commissioners to immediately hand over all government property in their possession. The suspended commissioners are also advised to hand over all official vehicles to the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Grace Umezurike. Suspected gunmen have kidnapped Mr. Francis Igwe, the father of a former Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State, Dr. Kelechi Igwe. The elderly man was abducted on Sunday morning while on his way to church in his Ndufu Alike community, and eyewitnesses said Igwe was driving when armed men riding a motorcycle intercepted his vehicle. The assailants allegedly double-crossed him, forced him out of his car, and whisked him away on their motorcycle to an unknown destination. The chairman of Ikwo Local Government Area, Sunday Nwankwo, confirmed the incident, adding that the council is working with security agencies to gather necessary information that would lead to his rescue. The police public relations officer in the state, Joshua Okandu, could not be reached for comment as of the time of filing this report on Sunday. Lagos State Government has declared a traffic management plan ahead of the reconstruction of a section of the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway between Super Bus Stop and Lepo Bus Stop. The government said the reconstruction to be handled by the Federal Ministry of Works will run from March 7 to May 30th, 2026, spanning 12 weeks according to a Sunday statement signed by the Lagos State Commissioner for Transportation, Oluwaseun Osiyemi. The main carriageway from Super Bus bus stop to Lepo bus stop will be completely closed to traffic during the period. And to ease movement along the corridor, motorists heading towards Lagos Oshodi from Abeokuta or Sango tollgate have been advised to use alternative routes. Osiemi also said traffic on the opposite carriageway, Abeokuta bound, will continue to flow throughout the construction period, while the government urged motorists to remain patient, obey traffic signs, and cooperate with traffic management officials deployed along the corridor to ensure smooth execution of the project. Chief Judge of Ogun State, Justice Mumsumola Dipeolu, has called for stronger collaboration among stakeholders, including the police, lawyers, judges, relevant government agencies, and non-profit organizations, to effectively address sexual violence in the country. Dipeolu also advocated the adoption of technology, such as the use of video link facilities in sexual violence cases, to promote witnesses, particularly children or traumatized survivors, to testify from separate rooms, thereby reducing the trauma of confronting the accused in open courts. She said the judiciary occupies a pivotal and unassailable position in the fight against sexual violence and must remain committed to ensuring that courts become fortresses for survivors, while offenders are adequately punished to serve as a deterrent to others. The Chief Judge, who was represented by Justice Funke Odubanjo, made the call in Abeokuta at a stakeholders gathering themed Strengthening Laws, Policies and Institutional Coordination to Improve Justice Delivery in Sexual Violence Cases. She also said Section 34 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria guarantees the right to the dignity of the human person, which she described as a constitutional bedrock upon which the judiciary's efforts must rest, adding that every survivor who walks into a courtroom seeks to the enforcement of the fundamental rights, validation, protection, and restoration of the dignity violently stripped from them. Female officer of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has been confirmed dead after being knocked down and run over by an operational patrol vehicle during a simulation exercise in Abuja. The Corps spokesperson, Afolabi Babawale, confirmed the incident while describing it as a tragic accident that occurred during a coordinated show of force drill. Footage circulating on social media showed the moment the officer was struck by the vehicle as it made a turn, and the vehicle stopped shortly after the impact, while colleagues and bystanders rushed to lift and pull her from underneath. Emergency responders later arrived at the scene and evacuated the officer. Kebbi State Governor Nasir Idris has ordered the constitution of a high-powered investigative committee following a fire outbreak at Nurul Haq Quranic and Arabic School in Birnin, Kebbi. The incident gutted several hostels and classrooms and triggered panic among students and residents. Idris, who was reportedly on his way to break his Ramadan fast, noticed thick smoke along the roadside and directed his convoy to stop, and on discovering that the smoke was coming from the school, he ordered the immediate evacuation of students and alerted the Kebbi State Fire Service and other emergency responders. His intervention ensured that rescue operations began without delay, and despite observing his fast, the governor remained at the scene for hours, supervising the evacuation of over 140 students and ensuring they were safely accounted for, while firefighters battled the flames for about 3 to 4 hours before bringing the situation under control. The governor also commended the Kebbi State Fire Service for what he described as a prompt and professional response, saying their efforts prevented what could have been a major tragedy, and further reassured parents and guardians that all affected students are safe and have been temporarily relocated to the school's main branch pending further assessment of the damaged structures. Katsina State Police Command has confirmed the death of 4 persons following a stampede during the distribution of annual Ramadan alms at Kofa Guga quarters in Katsina State. A statement issued on Sunday, the command Command's Police Public Relations Officer Abubakar Aliyu said the tragic incident occurred on February 26 at about 9 p.m. before a distress call was received at the Central Police Station in Katsina about a large crowd that had gathered at the residence of a philanthropist, Alhaji Dahiru Usman Saki, located at Kofa Goga quarters. Aliyu said officers were immediately deployed to the scene upon receipt of the report. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Bello Shehu, expressed condolences to the families of the deceased and wished the injured quick recovery, as he directed for further investigation and necessary measures to prevent future occurrences. The command also called on individuals and organizations planning to distribute arms or organize similar events to notify the police in advance to ensure proper security arrangements. President Bola Tinubu has reappointed Dr. Ahmed Audi as the Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps for a new 5-year term. A statement signed by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the reappointment took effect from Friday, February 27, after he was first appointed to the position in 2021 by former President Muhammadu Buhari. Tinubu charged Audi to reposition the service to play a more significant role in the country's security, especially as the police focus on their primary responsibility of protecting citizens from bandits, kidnappers, and terrorists. Audi was born on September 30th, 1967 in Laminga Town, Nasarawa State local government area. Nasarawa State, and after his early education in the state, he attended Chief Teachers College in Jengere Plateau State, where he obtained a Teacher's Grade 2 certificate in 1987. He further attended the College of Education, Akwanga, earning the Nigeria Certificate in Education in 1992, and driven by a thirst for knowledge, he went to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaire, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in physical and health education in 1995. He served in various state commands and in 2007 was promoted to the rank of Commandant of the Corps and subsequently deployed to the office of the Commandant General at the national headquarters in Abuja. Senate says it will complete the amendment of the 1999 Constitution to allow the creation of state police before the end of 2026. The Senate spokesperson, Yemi Adaramodu, said the upper chamber would immediately resume work on the constitutional review once plenary reconvenes next week. The development follows President Bola Tinubu's request to the National Assembly to begin the process of amending the Constitution to incorporate state police as part of efforts to tackle the nation's insecurity challenges. And Tinubu, while addressing members of the House of Representatives, urged them to ensure that the proposed constitutional amendments for the creation of the state police include safeguards against potential abuse by governors. He stressed that the establishment of state police should not be a straight free fall for everybody, but must be structured with checks and balances drawn from past experiences. Pledging the Senate's readiness to fast-track the amendments of the Constitution to accommodate state police, Adaramodu further said significant groundwork had already been done on the proposal for legislative focus shifted to the electoral amendments, and assured Nigerians that the National Assembly would treat the amendments with urgency and conclude the process before political campaigns begin ahead of the next general election. Minister of Education Tunji Alause has declared that Nigeria is now better positioned to decisively confront the long-standing challenge of Almajiri and out-of-school children across the country. Alausa made the assertion on Sunday while addressing the Committee of States Commissioners of Education in Nigeria during a peer learning webinar aimed at advancing coordinated education reforms nationwide, and also described the initiative as timely and aligned with national education priorities, stressing that stronger collaboration between the federal government and sub-national governments remains critical to sustainably reducing the number of out-of-school children. He said Nigeria has one of the highest numbers of out-of-school children globally, with previous estimates from international agencies placing the figure in millions, particularly in northern states where the Almajiri system remains prevalent, adding that the Almajiri system historically rooted in Islamic education has over time been associated with street begging and vulnerability among children due to weak regulation and inadequate integration into formal education structures. Alausa attributed the improved outlook to the establishment of the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children Education, describing it as a strategic institutional response to a decades-long challenge, stressing that the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Muhammad Sani Idris, brings both life experience and administrative capacity to the role, having risen from an Almajiri background to earn a PhD and previously serving as Commissioner for Education in Yobe State. He also commended the structured reform engagements championed by COSCSEN under its chairman, Dr. Lawal Olohun Gbebe, adding that institutionalized peer learning would strengthen policy coherence and accelerate measurable progress in access and equity nationwide. Nigeria Police Force has reassured Nigerians of its unwavering commitment to maintaining security and public order following escalating geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, adding that it has intensified intelligence-led policing across the country to prevent any attempts to exploit global developments for unrest. A statement issued via X on Sunday by the First Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundeyin said, Acting Inspector General of Police IGP Olatunji Disu has directed all commissioners of police across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory to work with traditional and religious leaders in strengthening security around worship centers and public spaces. This is coming after on Saturday the Nigerian government issued travel advisories for citizens in Iran and Gulf countries, urging maximum caution amid the hostilities, while the Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has separately called for de-escalation and restraint by all parties involved. Former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has criticized Nigerian political leaders for fixating on 2027 election strategies while insecurity worsens across the country. A statement posted on his X handle on Sunday, Obi said the first 2 months of 2026 had witnessed killing of over 1,000 Nigerians and the abduction of several others, and described the situation as a painful reality confronting the nation, while citing incidents in Zamfara, Kwara and Plateau states, among others. Obi said over 25 states across all geopolitical zones this year had suffered major violent attacks on incidents, kidnappings by armed bandits, mass shootings, village invasions, and assault on worship and travelers. The former Anambra State governor also called leadership should prioritize the protection of lives over electoral considerations, stressing that history would judge leaders by their response to the crisis. The statement comes against the backdrop of persistent security challenges in Nigeria's northwest and north-central regions, and where armed bandits, groups, kidnappers and terrorists continue to carry out deadly raids, while the recent incidents include a February attack in Zamfara State, Dongan Duse village, where gunmen on motorcycles killed at least 50 people and abducted women and children, according to local authorities and media reports. African Democratic Congress has commenced free nationwide online membership registration, unveiling a new digital portal as part of preparations for the 2027 general elections. A statement issued on Sunday by its National Police Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, also instructed existing members to update and revalidate their details in line with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2026 and the guidelines of INEC and following the concerns. The Nigerian Senate amended Clause 28 of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, reducing the mandatory election notice period from 360 days to 300 days, thereby allowing INEC to adjust the timetable. INEC later released the revised schedule on Thursday, signing by its chairman, Professor Joash Amupitan, moving the presidential and National Assembly elections to January 16, 2027, and the governorship and State House of Assembly elections to February 6, 2027. Under the updated timetable, political parties are required to submit a comprehensive digital membership register by April 2, 2026, a requirement that some stakeholders argue may effectively sideline opposition parties, while the ADC, which began its membership registration exercise last month, said manual registration will continue concurrently nationwide. ADC further urged support groups and associations to utilize their opportunity by signing up and completing the straightforward onboarding process. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have arrested a wanted drug kingpin, Reginald Peter Chidebere, who had been in hiding for 13 years over alleged involvement in cocaine and heroin trafficking. A statement signed and released by the agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, on Sunday, said Chidebere, who was first arrested in 2013 for importing cocaine into Nigeria, had been arraigned before Justice Ayo Kunle Faji of the Federal High Court in Lagos, but jumped bail shortly after and disappeared. But his name later resurfaced in February 2024 as one of the alleged masterminds behind the importation of 49.70 kilograms of heroin from South Africa, intercepted by NDLEA officers at the import shed of the Lagos airport. In a related development, NDLEA operatives in Imo State dismantled a clandestine laboratory at Isiozi Obiato Umwaka in Jaba local government area, where 18.4 kilograms of methamphetamine, precursor chemicals and production equipment were recovered. And now to our business news. Minister of Works Dave Umahi says road projects being executed under President Bola Tinubu's administration will promote regional economic growth and address long-standing infrastructure deficits across the country. He said the roads were also designed to last for over 100 years as the country shifts from asphalt to concrete road construction. The minister, who spoke on Saturday while addressing journalists at the Amansia section of the Onitsha-Awka Enugu Expressway after inspecting the ongoing work on the 107-kilometer road, expressed satisfaction with the pace and quality of work being handled by Reynolds Construction Company, MTN Nigeria, and their subcontractors. He described the highway as one of the most significant and symbolic legacy projects of the Tinubu administration in the southeast, adding that the sustained inspection of projects nationwide was to ensure that Nigerians get value for taxpayers' money. Also speaking, the Federal Controller of Works in Anambra State, Augustine Opara, and his Enugu State counterpart, Ndem Smart, commended the minister for maintaining a cordial working relationship with contractors and also assured that the road project is targeted for completion by May 2026. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and other industry stakeholders have intensified efforts to attract investors ahead of the expected first gas delivery from the Ajaokuta-Gwagwalada segment of the AKK gas pipeline by July 2026. The project, a critical component of the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano pipeline network, is designed to boost domestic gas supply, support power generation, and stimulate industrial growth from northern Nigeria, with officials expressing confidence that its completion will unlock significant economic opportunities along the corridor. This came as the national oil company called on investors to take advantage of emerging opportunities in compressed natural gas infrastructure, declaring that Nigeria has transitioned from an oil-focused economy to a gas-first nation in its drive for energy security and industrial growth. The workshop convened by Portland Gas Limited focused on investment opportunities in a proposed mini LNG and LCNG station in Gwagwalada, Abuja, which stakeholders said will strengthen Nigeria's gas commercialization and transportation reform agenda. And in his address titled Powering the Future, Leveraging CNG Infrastructure to Drive Nigeria's Energy Transition and Sustainable Growth, Ogunleye said the country's long-standing oil dominance had given way to a strategic gas-led transition of the bond by about 55.48 billion naira. Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has directed Overland Airways to refund passengers who were wrongly charged value-added tax on flight tickets purchased before January 1, 2026. The directive followed clarification issued by the Nigeria Revenue Service on the implementation of the new tax regime affecting airline tickets. This is coming after the passengers had complained to the regulators after an elderly woman was forced to pay the new tax in 2025, a fee that was expected to take effect on January 1, 2026. The Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection at the NCAA, Michael Achimgo, in a statement said the matter had been resolved after regulatory engagement with the airline and the Nigeria Revenue Service. According to the NCAA, the airline had initially implemented the VAT requirement based on its implementation of the new fiscal policy, prompting complaints from affected travelers. We'll go on a short break now, and when we return, we will continue with the rest of the stories. Please stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all your bets on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. On ATM.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Now to the rest of our stories. At least 148 people have died after a reported strike hit a school in southern Iran. While Iran has blamed the U.S. and Israel, the U.S. Military Central Command said it is looking into reports of the incident, and Israel's military said it is not aware of any IDF operations in the area. The girls' school was located in Minab near an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which has previously been a target, and at least 201 people have been killed in airstrikes in Iran and 747 hurt since Saturday. A statement by CENTCOM spokesman Tim Hawkins said investigations are ongoing, while the Red Cross and Red Crescent officials in Geneva said the society had mobilized response teams to go to the school. The school tragedy took place as the U.S. and Israel launched wave after wave of airstrikes against targets in a number of Iranian cities throughout Saturday, and the attacks continued on Sunday following the killing in an airstrike of Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei together with many of his senior commanders. Former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has been killed in an alleged joint Israeli-U.S. airstrike, and the strike targeted Ahmadinejad's residence in the Namak district of northeast Tehran city, killing him along with several members of the security detail. International media said the strike likely occurred late Saturday, though independent confirmation has not been immediately available. Ahmadinejad served as Iran's president from 2005 to 2013. Prior to his presidency, he held key positions including governor of Ardabil province and mayor of Tehran. Following the completion of his 2 presidential terms, he was appointed by the supreme leader Ali Khamenei to the Expediency Discernment Council, a 48-member advisory body that advises the office of the supreme leader and mediates disputes within Iran's governing institutions. And this follows the coordinated attacks launched on Saturday by the Israeli military and the United States against targets in Iran. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will no longer travel to Israel on a trip announced for Monday after a joint U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran. State Department said wave of strikes on Saturday by the United States and Israel against targets in Iranian cities, which triggered explosions and columns of smoke in the capital, Tehran. Trump said Washington's goal was eliminating imminent threats from Iran, while Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz described the action as a preventive strike. In a related development, the U.S. said Iran's retaliation has caused no reported American casualties, while the Pentagon said, adding that damage to U.S. installations has been minimal despite a barrage of Iranian air assaults. Ayatollah Al-Reza Arafi has been appointed as the acting supreme leader of Iran. This is coming after Iran's Expediency Discernment Council elected Ayatollah Ali-Reza Arafi as the Jewish member of the Guardian Council in Leadership Council, and the Leadership Council is responsible for carrying out the duties of the Supreme Leader until Assembly of Experts selects a new successor. The 67-year-old cleric who serves on the powerful Guardian Council was confirmed as part of the 3-member body by the Expediency Council. Arafi will serve alongside President Masoud Pezeshkian and Chief Justice Gholam Hossein Ejei on the Interim Council, which is mandated by law to oversee leadership responsibilities during the transition period. Iranians in North America took to the streets cheering with joy and playing celebratory music after reports of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's death. There was no confirmation from Iran, but U.S. President Donald Trump said on his Truth Social network that Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. The celebrations began even before Trump's post in response to other reports of Khamenei's death, while the witnesses said at the time that loud cheers echoed across parts of Tehran and residents took to their windows to applaud and play loud music. The initial wave of protests began in December, sparked by economic woes in the sanctions-hit country, but soon grew into nationwide demonstrations that crested on January 8 and 9, posing one of the largest challenges to Iran's leaders in years. The unrest prompted a violent government crackdown that killed thousands of people. Former Vice President Kamala Harris has criticized the Trump administration's military actions in Iran, accusing the president of dragging the United States into a dangerous and unnecessary gamble. A statement issued by Harris, shared via X app, marks a sharp escalation in political opposition following the recent U.S. strikes. Harris, who served as vice president from 2021 to 2025, positioned herself as a primary critic of what she termed a regime change war that lacks the support of the American people. And the former vice president's critic focused on the president's temperament and his previous campaign promises, and also argued that the current escalation contradicts the non-interventionist rhetoric Trump utilized during his return to White House. She raised significant constitutional concerns regarding the authorization of military force and called on the Congress to use its oversight powers to prevent further escalation. Pope Leo XIV has appealed to nations involved in the escalating Middle East conflict to recognize their moral responsibility to pursue peace following airstrikes reportedly carried out by the United States and Israel on Iran. The Pope made the call during his Angelus address on Sunday, where he expressed deep concern over recent developments in the region, particularly in Iran. The pontiff warned that an uncontrolled escalation of violence could result in catastrophic consequences and prayed that diplomacy would regain prominence in resolving the crisis. This is coming after, on Saturday, Israel and the United States reportedly began joint airstrikes on Tehran and other Iranian cities, prompting retaliatory attacks by Iran, targeting Israel and several Gulf countries hosting American military bases. And to our sports news. Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen has stated why he refused the club's campaign armband from teammate Like Gundogan during their Turkish Super League 3-2 win against Antalyaspor.